In the Queen's Gambit fundamental level video, I showed you guys the Queen's Gambit accepted trap. Pretty simple trap for white against black. But now let's look at the Queen's Gambit declined trap. And in this trap, it's going to be black that sets the bait and lets white fall into it. As you know, our Queen's Gambit starts out d4, d5, and c4. At this point, if you capture the pawn, it's a Queen's Gambit accepted. And that's okay, you can play that line, but you have to learn it. But today we're going to look at the Queen's Gambit declined, e6. So now, white starts to put pressure on d5, and we protect it. Now they pin the knight, but they're not just pinning it, they're actually threatening to capture it. Because if white gets to just capture this knight, how do we take back? If we capture with the g-pawn, we've wrecked our kingside pawn structure, and we really don't want to castle queenside because the c-file is going to be open for white. That's not going to be good for us to castle on that side. And if we capture instead with our queen after their bishop takes the knight, then we don't have sufficient protection on our pawn, and they can win a free pawn here. Take, take, take. So that's a threat. Now the main line is to play bishop e7, but we're not doing that. We're going to play towards the Cambridge Springs variation, but in doing so we set a trap. So our first move is knight from b to d7. Notice either knight could go to d7, so I say knight from b to d7. Now our opponent says, hey, that was a mistake. They've blocked their queen from guarding d5. And since the knight on f6 is pinned, that means they only have one protector on to d5, and I have two attackers, my c-pawn and my knight. So now, white might take the bait and play c takes d5. Now, you need to capture back not with your knight, but with your pawn. But after they play knight takes d5, you spring the trap. You capture them, letting them take your queen. But notice, now their king is open. They don't have a c-pawn or a d-pawn that can block a check. They don't have a knight or a bishop that can block a check. So when you play bishop to b4 check, the only thing they can do is block with their queen. And you get to win your queen back. Plus, you got that extra piece at the beginning. So now you could even capture their bishop instead of taking their queen right away. And if they try to chase your knight, well, you might even pin that pawn. But finally, when they play the rook over, you have to start worrying that they're going to block this pin. So one more move, you get to play rook takes check, for example, and now gobble up their queen. And that is the Queen's Gambit decline trap. I'll check you later.